Hi, my name is Amy. Thank you very much for watching, and let's make some bad financial decisions together. This is for entertainment purposes only, so if you're entertained, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. So, I got asked today, is GPTY a copy of AIPI? And I'm going to go on a limb and say no. And I also don't know if they meant to say copy or competition. They are on the same theme as each other. They're both AI focused, but the reason why I say they're not copies of each other is, well, they don't have the same holdings, and even if they had the same holdings, they would probably have them at different strike prices and then different terms of until expiration, so we'd have to really look at that. But Berkshire's does not actually post their intraday trades, and so it's hard to compare them on strike prices. But here's what they have in common. The Advanced Micro Devices, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Arista Networks, Broadcom, Intel, International Business Machines Corp., Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Palantir, Qualcomm, Salesforce, and ServiceNow. Like, these are all companies I recognize, I've heard about. It does not surprise me that these are in an AI-focused ETF. And if you have a side-by-side comparison of these, AIPI actually has a couple of more companies than GPTY. And one of those companies is SMCI. So just do with that information what you will. But the ones that are only in GPTY are C3AI, Invesco, Marvel, Snowflake, Taiwan Semiconductors, and Tesla. And I think that these are more focused on mining and semiconductors. And so that's isn't only GPTY. And then in AIPI, we have ARM Holdings, Adobe, Cadence, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Datadog, Micron, Palo Alto, SMCI, and Synopsys. So some of these, like Datadog is like a logging software type thing. Adobe does creative things, but they also have AI tools that they're integrating now. And some of these are more like infrastructure type things that they have in there. So I think that these holdings that are in here have probably lower IV than these. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that GPTY will be more volatile and pay more than AIPI, but that doesn't mean that GPTY is the better investment than AIPI. So I still think that you could do like a poor man's dividend wheel between AIPI and GPTY, even if it's like you take your AIPI distribution, you put in a GPTY, and then a portion of the GPTY every week goes back into AIPI, and that way you're basically controlling your DCA into AIPI and getting different price points, but you're also your money for the distributions are working harder than if you just put it on the ex-div date back into AIPI. So just putting that out there, that just because they're competitors, or you don't have to choose one. They're both AI focused, but they have slightly different companies. And so one pays weekly, the other one pays monthly. I think they're both good. So, or at least I suspect GPTY will be good. We haven't even had the first distribution yet, but I'm inclined towards it. So, yeah, I just would like to reiterate that just because like something has the S&P 500, all of these are doing option trading on the S&P 500. It's just that they have different gimmicks. So like XDTE has their 0 day to expiration, and from the latest distribution, you'd be getting $273 monthly. So WDTE is Defiance. They write puts. So it's the same but opposite. And so they're just getting a little less money. And Defiance has had a past of not being very careful with NAV. So I haven't really been covering it or really interested in Defiance things. But I'll take a look at some point and make sure that they have changed their ways. But XPay is the same, and you'd be getting less than what XDT has, and so on and so forth. And SPY-T has a target of 20%, so you'd also have to look at something like total real returns and say like, well, is XCTE, AIPI, like XPay and SPY-T, like at the end of that period, like you would have had more money if you had put it into XPay than if you had put it into XDTE from November of last year so far. So just because something pays less per pay time does not mean that your total return would be less because of price appreciation. So yes, value stocks are harder to evaluate at a glance than growth stocks, because growth stocks you just go on to Google Finance, get their chart and see which one goes up the most. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about tonight. I think that this is going to be GPTY. I don't have as high of an IV expectation as I had with LFGY. And LFGY still has a pretty good IV. So if LFGY pays what it paid the first time, if you had like $1,000 you put into it, you would get about $60 monthly, and that's more than any other weekly right now. And I do think that if you own all of these YMAX and these Roundhill weeklies, you probably could just not be in any of the monthlies or just have very few monthlies, because you would have the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, the Russell 2000, and specifically a crypto one, an AI focus, and now they're coming out with the China one and the biotech and everything. So I think it would basically be like a VT. Like you would basically have coverage over the entire world and just be able to manipulate your exposure to things to what you want, but you would still get paid weekly for everything, which is nice. Because before Roundhill, we really did have to go through and say like, okay, well, in week 1, you would get, you would have to pick from your group of things, and then you have to look at group 2, and there would be like one thing, because nothing ever is in the second week. It's always either like the first of the month or the last of the month. So we would all be scrambling for things in like week 2 and 3, and then you'd have like, I believe it was like SVOL and AIPI, their declaration dates were always like 2 days apart. So it was really hard to like do your daisy chain, and you had to be careful about how you timed it. But with the weeklies, like, okay, they pay me, well, the declaration date is on Wednesday, X date is on Thursday, and I get paid on Friday. So, like, it's not difficult to time these things. And for me, just being in a group of weeklies isn't that complicated to manage either. I would just take whatever distributions I hadn't spent. Like, if I was using this to pay bills, like, I would use it to pay all my bills and then just divide the leftover money by the amount of weekly payers I have and just reinvest in an even amount in all of them. Because I keep saying this, but I do believe in like 3 or 4 years, the price of XDTE will appreciate enough that with my cost basis, I'm getting paid like it is a 50% distribution all the time. So, as opposed to whoever gets in at that time, which it would be like 30% or whatever. So, anyways, now this was my YieldMite website that I've made, and there are things that I'm working on to improve it. But for financial Philharmonics, today I made a GPTY song that has all the holdings. I think that's just what we're going to do from now on. And then, oops, about CONY again. And you can blame this Reddit user who had that as the title of their post, because I saw it and then it got stuck in my head, and then I spent like all my credits trying to get Suno to say CONY correctly. So sometimes with AI it takes a little finagling to get things to say things correctly, but I'm going to start getting away from doing parodies on things that are copyrighted. And then, I mean, the song doesn't sound anything like the original, and the lyrics are all different, but I still don't want to get in trouble. So, what are your thoughts with GPTY? Are you happy with the holdings? And do you think that these are they competitors to you, or are they just like friends that are in your portfolio? I'll talk to you later. Bye.